Thank you very much, Andrew. I would like to thank Gino Berta for introducing me to Andrew Gates, and I would like to thank Andrew for all of his work here at St. Ambrose University and as the coordinator of Veterans Recruitment and Services. And he's especially to be commended for putting on this conference today. The most important thank you goes to all of our veterans. As Andrew mentioned, this poem that I'm going to read to you, that I have the pleasure of reading to you, is dedicated to Earl D. Haake, U.S. Army Air Corps, 42 to 45, Eastern Mandates, it says in his discharge, 1944 to 45, but it's dedicated to all of our vets. Kind of have a little bit of show and tell here. I feel a spiritual connection when I have things like my father's dog tags, my mother's record of war bonds that she purchased. You know, there's a certain spirituality to these things that you just don't have. My father's discharge paper has a whole bunch of things on there, and bronze battle stars, etc., etc. I did not bring the Japanese money that he got from souvenir hunting. And even though my father was in the Army Air Corps, this poem is actually about a Navy pilot. You know, when you're the poet, you can make up whatever the heck you want. But as most of you probably know, when I was growing up in the 50s, the World War II guys were the guys standing on the sides of the street during the Memorial Day parade with the 5-year-old on their shoulders, the 7-year-old with the Milwaukee Braves hat, and they just kind of figured they were part of life, and this really didn't have that much to do with them. And I can remember pointing out to my dad, what's that guy, that little shriveled old guy there in the brown uniform? Spanish-American War, my dad said. And when they read at the Memorial Day in Federated Church in Wakanda, when they read in Flanders Fields, the poppies grow, all the World War II guys who are our Little League coaches, our hardware store owners, our janitors, our presidents, all these guys, they just kind of hushed us up and pointed at the World War I vets. I said the next year, where's the guy in the brown? My father was a tough old German. He looked at me and goes, where do you think? That was all. That was it. Now, my poem is entitled Honor Flight, Navy Pilot Style, and it's actually inspired here this many years after because of the honor flights and the people who take our oldest vets before it's too late to have some part of their own spirituality reinforced. And in this poem, I mention WAVES. Those are the Women Auxiliary Volunteer Emergency Services, the Women Navy in 1942, and Luzon, Philippine Island. We lost to the Japanese Empire in 42. We got it back in 44, 45. So this is to Earl D. Haake and each and every veteran and their families. Honor flight, Navy pilot style. Most were pushed. A few came on spindly canes or walkers. Arthur walked and remembered. Arthur, dear, do you have to, tinkle before we board? Smiles, yes, at 89. That made sense. But as he gazed into her generous eyes, he imagined Evelyn, a wave on Luzon, tough as nails and sweet as victory, and said, no, I'm fine. But as the engine revved, he remembered the primeval tenor of the screaming Zeros, the deadly silence of the torpedoes as they raced to hit his ship, to blow amidship, the midshipman to smithereens. Funny Benny Clark, jokester of the squadron, until that night where he was right, where it hit, and there was not a bit of Benny left to bury in the sea. Remembering his best friend Buddy, who never made it past Baton, buckling belts like jingling ammo. Remembering the miracle at Midway, he could still see the gleaming teeth and snow-white scarves of the grinning samurai with their Mitsubishi engines and their rising suns. Or Trevor Atkinson from Tucumcari, fledgling rookie greenhorn, washed overboard in a gale. Aircraft carriers do not turn around, even as the icy sea swallows this mother's baby, and another gold star hangs forlornly for all to see.